Hi, Meryl.
Hi, Paul. Nature's another of the Ministry of Eco-Education's themes. There's already quite a bit about ecology in the curriculum, from exploring the natural world in early years, plants and animals in Key Stage 1, life cycles and habitats in Key Stage 2, to environmental interactions in Key Stage 3. Isn't that enough?
Yeah, I guess so. But did you know that the UK's children are actually growing up in one of the most nature depleted countries in the whole world? And the recent State of Nature report suggested that 1 in 6 species in Great Britain is actually at risk of extinction. And that's because of things like poor farming practices, to things like even the sale of plastic grass. And these things are real issues that demand both individual action, but also system change to turn things around. So we need to ensure that children appreciate what's at stake.
Indeed, it's well documented that putting nature at the heart of education has huge benefits for children. It can promote a love of the natural world, but also encourages understanding of the effects of human activity on biodiversity and how to reverse the trend in decline, sending ripples out into the wider community. Spending time outside is also fantastic to improve both mental well-being and physical health, alongside promoting skills for sustainable futures.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we've got to take a moment to recognise the launch of the Department for Education's new nature park, or the kind of education nature park. It's a real ideal time for any school to think about embedding nature across their curriculum and linking it to their school site. So the Ministry of Eco-Education's got a whole series of big questions based around nature, and they include things like, how important is soil? Who lives near me? How should we use land? Things like, is the weather changing? And a whole load of other ones as well.
If we take just one of the big nature questions, such as who lives near me, and look at the series of 8 lessons quickly, what do they involve?
I really like this one because it's a spin on who lives near me. It's not just about humans, it's about all human and non-human living things. What is it out there? And what it does is it starts with what lives on Earth, and it looks at things like our world in data to explore how much of each thing makes up life on Earth. And then there's also a timeline about the evolution of life. And it uses some resources from Wildfowl and Wetland Trust to explore who lives maybe where the students are in terms of habitats.
And there's loads of really useful information. You link out to Our World in Data, and that's such a great place to find, information and data. Superb.
Yeah, the infographics there are amazing. Now, there's another question that is part of this. It says, in how many people live near me? So there is a bit thinking about the human bit, which maybe links to the geography curriculum. And you can use things like the World Population Clock to explore how population changes. And then you can look at things like the census data to explore your local community in more detail. And that really promotes discussion on where people have come from as well, and thinking about languages and diversity in the local community.
Wow, so I was expecting this to all be about plants and animals, but actually you're building a sense of self in the world. That's an invaluable skill for young people.
Yeah, definitely. It's that really broad sense of a community. Now, what we also do then is think about the soil. And the soil is actually one that's often hugely overlooked, particularly in the national curriculum. But it's a really important proportion of life on Earth actually resides in there. And also in terms of a carbon store, it's a really big one. Humans are dependent on food, but the food that we get is dependent on the soil, and that relationship between the food that we grow and the soil it grows in is really important. And there is actually an interview with an earthworm from Messages from the Wild, and I actually really like that.
Soil is one of my favorite things. It's so fascinating if you get really, into looking at it on a really fine scale, get the microscopes out, and it's essential to life on Earth.
There's that stat about a spoonful of soil, isn't it, in terms of the variety of life on that spoonful. So that's not all, though. After that, we then consider what's in the air around us, and pupils can take part in citizen science projects such as the RSPB Bird or the Big Bird Watch, and they can use resources to survey birds around the school site.
So being part of the Big Bird Watch is citizen science at its finest. It's so much fun that kids actually start collecting meaningful data, but also learning how to protect and promote that bird life. It really makes them proud if they see birds coming to bird feeders and things. Huge, yeah, lovely, fantastic. So what else?
Well, I think also that's a really good one that links in with the nature park, isn't it? Because then sort of quantifying, bird life or whatever it might be around your school.
Great maths links.
It's a really good baseline as well, isn't it? To then think about how we might improve it into the future. The next thing then is thinking about what comes out at night. So pupils again use the RSPB resources to discover the differences between animals that come out during the day and those that come out at night. And they can listen to an interview with a greater horseshoe bat, again from this Messages from the Wild, and they can explore the wonderful world of bats with resources that we found and think are really good from the Northern Ireland Bat Group.
You've found some amazing resources. I think that's what's so joyful. And I suppose teachers who are really daring might want to promote the joys of spending time in nature, which in Norwegian I learned the other day is free loose leaf. And they could do the RSPB Big Wild Sleep Out, or go take the kids out and explore the local area.
Yeah, we've actually got one of the schools that's really taken the Ministry of Eco-Education and run with it, Collie Lane up near Birmingham. They've embedded that kind of thing, that sleep out, as one of about 10 or 11 things that everyone does before they leave primary school. So they've got all these kind of wild natural activities that they think everyone should take part in. So the final bit of this is then thinking about how we can help nature to thrive. And the best thing a teacher could do is organise maybe a visit from their local wildlife trust, or you could arrange a visit to go and visit a local nature reserve or conservation area. And you could contact the local nature park and have some sort of virtual chat with a ranger maybe. And you could also find out more about their jobs, so you start to link in careers as well.
School communities could also be inspired by the Royal Parks campaign to help nature thrive, or to look at suggested further opportunities, which include things like No Mow May.
Yeah, that's definitely the beauty of what we've put together here with the Ministry of Eco-Education, is it's really flexible. This is like a menu of things that teachers can pick and choose from. There's a whole variety of resources that we think are great and are kind of tried and tested with teachers. So there's loads of big questions. Things like, more of them are things like, where have all the trees gone? Or does it matter if species go extinct? Or how should we use land? And the idea is they're all just inspiration for teachers to think about how they can link it into their existing curriculum.
Yeah, so you can just go and do one thing, watch one video, try one, one little resource, but not look at any of the rest of them unless you really want to. But you might find that the kids start really enjoying it. I think the Ministry of Eco-Education nature theme is probably my favourite.
Okay, so then, Meryl, as a teacher, what would be your top 2 takeaways for this theme?
Okay, so only 2. Oodles of scope for citizen science with the new National Education Nature Park as well, the Big Bird Watch, National Butterfly Count. So get kids outside looking at wildlife and collecting meaningful data, which will really help ecologists. And then I'd definitely say it's worthwhile getting hands-on to promote biodiversity themselves. Bit of school gardening, the RHS Schools Gardening campaign is fantastic. Did I tell you I was once a finalist in the RHS School Gardener of the Year back in 2019?
Yes, Meryl, you're full of surprises. But I think it's really important that you brought that in, because the RHS have got so many good resources and so many different competitions and projects and resources and things. So definitely check out the RHS. Sadly, we've run out of time. So
one last thing.
Okay.
One last thing, I promise. It's also worth another Royal Society. The Royal Society, the science one, have some fantastic Q&A resources on climate and biodiversity as well. So we need to get that in there somewhere. Bye, Paul.
Bye.